Hello, good morning. Oh, I've got some flyaway hair happening this morning. Bit of static going on over here. Good morning and welcome to Stampin' Chat. Another week has flown by. We are well into the month of November. Weather is changing. It's really chilly this morning. And let's take the glasses off and have a look. Yeah, still a bit misty out there today, but a bit damp, a bit misty, but hopefully the sun will be coming out later. So let me check that I'm live in the right place, because Facebook is doing some funny things and I am finding it difficult to navigate my way around. Okay, I think I'm live in the right place. So hopefully there'll be some of you joining me this morning. So I'm following on from last week's live. It's been a busy old week. Honestly, I do not know where the week has gone. Really busy, lots going on, lots helping out with family. And this week, it's not half term, but Vivi has all of her inset days rolled into 1 week. So she has 2 weeks off. So she's off school this week. So good morning, Belle. Yeah, definitely in the right place. I know Facebook is kind of making me slightly nervous at the minute. I'm like, when I go on, have to like hunt for myself. It's changed. It's definitely changed. So I'm hoping when I turn you down to my desk, it doesn't all kind of go pear-shaped as well. Right, I am going to get on because today I've got coffee and card at the hub at Asherworth. So I need to get a wriggle on and get the projects done. And as I said, I'm following on from last week. So I'm going to be using the Joyful Flurry, but I'm also using a new sneak peek die set from the Framed Florets collection, which is coming next month. If you're a demonstrator, you can pre-order it now. If you want to take advantage of a fabulous starter kit promotion, then you could add this collection to your starter kit, which is amazing, and then have this really early. Honestly, I don't want to put it down. It's beautiful. I might share a couple of sneak peek projects with you. So yeah, the profiles are driving me mad as well, Belle. Everything is just in a different place now, and having to switch over is really, it's confusing. Even just to like update things and post, I'm just getting in a pickle with it. It's not straightforward. It hasn't registered to the brain yet. So right, I'm going to put you down to my desk. Let's move my MacBook out of the way. As I said, my hair is doing a right flyaway today. I think it's got to be, I can see, because the window's right behind me, I can see all these bits flying away. It's got to do with this damp weather, definitely. My hair doesn't like the damp weather. So anyway, enough waffle. Excuse the palm of the hand. Let's get you down. Pray that Facebook will let me perform in the usual fashion. Zoom in a bit. Get some light on. We're almost straight. You can see the Joyful Flurry stamps. I'm going to go that way a little bit, and then I'm going to tape you down, I think. So yeah, busy. Lots going on. Lots coming up. And lots to prepare, lots to design, lots to cut, and lots of other things going on, family life as well. So busy. So last week, where are my last week's projects? What have I done with them? I keep moving them around. I made these last week. So I teamed the Joyful Flurry. I'm going to be doing something very similar, same colours along these lines, but just showing you another different way of using them, using a different snowflake stamp. So I made this card and then this candy cane pouch. So that was last week's projects. I might be adapting these into a class as well, because a couple of you that have seen these have asked if we could make them. Let's put those back on my shelf. So I thought today I would bring in, did I freeze then? this sneak peek die set. Now, this is coming in November. If you're a customer, you can purchase this in November. If you're a demonstrator, you can get this now. It's on a pre-order. But as I said, if you join my team with the Starter Kit Plus promotion, you'll get £154 of product for £99, and it ships to you for free. And you can add this collection. So it comes with these two as a bundle. Oh my goodness. I am just in awe of this stamp set. It's so beautiful. I love it. I love the greetings. I love the script, the style of the font. Particularly love that flower. So it's photopolymer, which I love as well. So love a photopolymer set, but it is just screaming for colouring. And then as well, we have an extra set called Framed and Festive. And this is, now I have to get this right because I haven't printed this information. I think this stamp set is only available until the beginning of January, just before the new mini comes out. These will carry over into the mini catalogue. There is also, gosh, product overload, a pack of DSP. I'm not going to go right into it. It's lovely. The colours in it, look. There is this available as well, but it will be limited time purchase. It won't carry into the mini, but the stamps, these two definitely will be. So you will be seeing more of them coming for sure. I'm not using either of those stamps today. I'm just going to be using the dies and creating some more projects with the Joyful Flurry set. So let's put those to one side. So as I said, carrying on from last week, going to be using Cherry Cobbler, Crumb Cake and Garden Green. Not using Cherry Cobbler ink, but that's the colours, that's the theme that we're going with. So let's pull in. Oh, I've already got a bit cut ready. How organised am I? Let's pull in the bits and pieces. So we're going to start off with our base, which is 5 3/4 by 8 1/4. That's my standard card size as a rule. That's what I use mostly. Sometimes I do change that slightly. I'm trying to think, oh yeah, there's a card that I might show you as a sneak peek. And when you're doing a fun fold, sometimes you need to make your card a bit shorter on one edge so that when you put in score lines in, it's much easier because you can use like whole measurements. Right, we've got a front base layer which should measure 3 3/4 by 5 3, which it does. And you know I use inches. That's just what I feel comfortable with. I find it just easy, easy to create with. So that's our front layer, and then I've got some extra bits and pieces here. I've got a piece of Cherry Cobbler. Let's measure that for you in case you want to recreate. 3 5/8 by 1 1/2. And it's pieces like this you'll find in your scraps. And then this little pack of pattern paper is from the Lights Aglow. I used this last week as well. Look, I'm using this and I've still got so much of it left. It is just beaut. It's beaut. How useful would they be? So we've got some really lovely patterns. I'm using just a skinniest little strip. Put those away. I like to keep everything tidy. I'm a put-awayer in between my creating, so I put things away all the time. Try to, you know, be a neat, tidy crafter. So I've cut this strip at 3 inches because the paper is 6 inches, and it works with my project. It's long enough for what I need, and it means that I've got another piece the same size that I can use on something else. So we're going to put those to one side. I'm going to start off, if I put in a scrap, I think that's just about big enough. So I'm going to start off this week. Last week I mainly used this gorgeous snowflake here, but I wanted to use this lovely, like rounded edged one. Rounded edge, you know what I mean. There's more like rounded points on, if there is ever such a thing as rounded points on a snowflake. Good morning, Carol. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us this morning. So we're doing a bit of Christmas crafting today, following on from last week's live. I'm going to create more projects along the same lines. So I've pulled in because I'm going to do a bit of heat embossing. I've just thought, let me grab my, just going to plug in my heat tool so that you can watch the process a bit closer up. I forgot I was using that. Yes, I'm going to cover this little piece with embossing powder from my embossing. It's not embossing powder, it's just powder, but we call this an embossing buddy. Then I'm going to pull in this very grubby Versamark that is still doing its job. I've got powder all over me, and I'm going to use this lovely, is that stuck on there? Better get that off first. This lovely snowflake. I'm going to ink it up in the Versamark. Good morning, Lucianne. How are you doing? I'm putting plenty of Versamark on here, as you can see, and I want to pop this in the middle, bit of fluff on there, because I'm then going to die cut it once I've got my powder on. Be careful where I'm touching with my fingers. Pull in some scrap that will catch any spillages. Get some powder on my spoon. Now I've touched that with my hands and I've probably got it on me. And just sprinkle that over to reveal the magic. Who doesn't love heat embossing? It's just such a lovely, gives you such a lovely effect. So this is quite clean. I can see quite a few speckles over there, so I'm going to give it a flick from behind out of shot and just blow it off just to lift those off. If they don't come off, you can gently get them off. In the mini catalogue we have the embossing, what's it called now, because I don't have it, I don't know what it's called. I'm just going to lift it up and show you it. I showed you it last week. It's the Additions Toolkit. So it's this, you get like the embossing pal, the tray in there, but you also get brushes in there and the embossing buddy. So that's a really good thing to have. Something that's really good to put on your Christmas wish list as well. If you're, you know, people don't know what to get you, that's a great thing to get. It's something you're going to use often. It's going to get my heat tool on and get this heating up, and then we'll get this one turning into beautiful gold. Once my heat tool is warm enough, hopefully we'll catch this in action. Wait for it just to start melting the powder. Can you see that, how it's turning? Get the fingers out of the way, we don't want to burn the fingers. Honestly, in real life, these stamps, they're just so pretty. I don't think anyone could resist the beauty of the Joyful Flurry stamp set. Carol, you love embossing and it has the wow factor every time. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's one of those things. Heat embossing and dry embossing, they're such simple things that just give like such a great impact on your project. And I think gold particularly is lovely at Christmas. to team, you know, with gold foils and gold ribbons. So what I'm going to do on here is pull in my dies, pull in my plates, and you can see in this set we've got a variety of ovals, which I absolutely love. You've got this beautiful one here. Let's just move that and show you. Got some pieces cut out so you can see. So you're left, when you use this one, you're left with a negative like that. But then you get this beautiful frame, and you also get a piece out of the center. Have I got one here? Sorry, you've probably got my elbow in there. So that large one cuts that. Then you have this beautiful die here. Excuse me, the frog is appearing. Of course, it's a Facebook Live. The frog always arrives, doesn't it? This doesn't actually, as you can see, the only pieces that cut are the raised pieces of metal. So all it cuts out are the hearts. And I will show you something. I don't think I'm gonna have time to do a third project today, but I have got a card that I've created using this. So it doesn't actually cut any ovals, it just cuts, oh, I've got one right here. How dim, Kerry. It cuts that, okay, which is beautiful, and it leaves behind confetti hearts. How sweet are they? So if you were making a shaker card with these ovals, you need to gather all the leftover pieces from here. Then you have this, which I think is my fave. I love this lined image around. This is the one we're going to use today. Then we have this lovely foliage piece. We've got leaves here, and then these other pieces cut out. They coordinate with the stamps, okay? So the flowers and things. So absolutely gorgeous. Right, I need some garden green. It's in my other envelope to cut out one of these. So let's trim that off. So how are we all doing? What are we up to? What have we been up to? Did you have a good weekend? Did I just cut that really short? Oh dear. We'll make it fit. We don't need the end bit. We will tape it down though. Tape it down. I'm just going to gently bend it that way so it sits a little better on my plate. Tape that down, and then this one here we're going to stick straight on. I mean, I love the hearts and I love that kind of really pretty oval. Right, let's try and get this in the middle. Finding it hard with my eyes at the minute to judge things. So we tape that down, run that through. Yeah, what have you all been up to? We had a really busy weekend. I worked on Saturday morning. And then, what did we do on Saturday afternoon? Can't even remember. That's terrible, isn't it? Can't even remember. So you can see it cuts out this. Beautiful. It's a great sized oval, but then we get left behind. Let's just get rid of those. Get left behind with this. Honestly, the detail is just beautiful. You know, when you think like we have so many amazing products, how can they keep bringing more amazing products out? They just keep doing it. Right, no pieces left in there, which is good. And then got this lovely one here. We'll just push out those little pieces. And sometimes the little pieces that get left inside, it's okay if they get left there. They kind of add a different look. I'm going to get rid of those in my bin. And I'm going to do a little bit more stamping before we start assembling. We've got to do a greeting as well. So let's pull in the Happy Christmas. There are some really great sentiments on here. It's a season of magic and wonder. Joyful wishes, let it snow, sending you all the best this new year, which is good for those of you that send New Year cards. But I just love this really simple lined Happy Christmas. So I've got a strip here, and I'm going to use, move that out of the way, my garden green, and do exactly what I did last time. Be very gentle how I stamp with this because it's such a fine line. Can you see I obviously applied more pressure to the left. The H is slightly heavier, but that's fine. Save that other piece for later. And I need to die cut that one out. Let's do that now, and then we know all the die cutting is done. And the other set I'm using is, of course, my good old trusty Stylish Shapes. Oh, it's not. Or is it? Yes, it is. I'm confusing myself because I've been using another banner die from the, which one is it? The celebration tags. Another staple is this one. I love that little banner. So 2 really good staple die sets that are great to have in your collection. So as always, I'm going to run this one through this way. Line it up as square as we can, as the eye will see at this angle. And I'm going to tape it top and bottom just so it doesn't move. And I'm just going to run that through. Love the negative that these dies leave as well. And always remember that. I do talk about this often, that think about your negative, which is why on this, when I cut this piece, I did keep it. Gosh, Alfie, that was a big old size. Actually on his bed this morning. His breakfast is over then, and I think he wants to eat it. Those of you that know Alfie know that he's a little bit fussy with his food, and he wants to eat it, but it's like it's a bit of a game. So he's over on his bed next to it, curled up, really cosy. Bless him. All right, pop that one back. And then we've just got this little greeting ready to go on. What else? Oh, let's do some background stamping. So move my MacBook out of the way. Open up my crumb cake. And I'm going to pull in 2 really good background stamps that are in this set. Let's have a sheet underneath so we don't go, I want to go over the edges a little bit. And I'm just going to fill the whole background with, I'm just thinking, how busy do I want it? Not too busy. So we'll space these out quite well. Like that. I think that will be enough. And then with the lovely snow, which is again, this set kind of has it all. It's this one here. We'll just kind of dot a few of these around. So we're just getting like a tone on tone by using crumb cake on crumb cake. You could get this same look if you used the Versamark. Stamping with Versamark onto a colour gives you like a tone on tone. And then we just created a really pretty background on here. There is nothing rocket science about my projects today, quite frankly. It's just kind of, to me, this is just simple stamping. You could elaborate much more, but I wanted to bring in those lovely new framed florets dies. So, right, let's start layering these together. So we're nearly ready to assemble. And I've got another 3D project to share with you, because I had some really nice feedback from the one I did last week, so I thought I'd switch it up a little bit. Only a little bit though. Right, let's lay this first layer down onto our base. And make sure it's down. And then we're going to take our strip of crumb cake, cherry cobbler, which is just a smidge shorter than the crumb cake, so it just fits down inside there. I gave you the measurement for this earlier. I'm going to pop that one up just up from the bottom, little gap down there. Have no idea if that's straight. Oh, I think my UPS man might have just delivered something. You know, the UPS van has like a really distinct sound, doesn't it? And because my studio's like next to the lane, I can hear when he comes down. I'm pretty sure that was him, and I am due a delivery. So, right, next we're going to pop down this little skinny strip of that lights aglow. And again, this is gold foiled as well. Where do we want that? In the middle, I think, and just down a little bit. Like that. Carol, you've been busy preparing for a charity card day this Friday. How lovely. How lovely. I feel at the moment that I am treading on thin ice, shall we say, trying to keep afloat of everything that is going on. Right, next I'm going to pop on this lovely, I'm going to be careful how I put the glue on here, this lovely oval. Don't want to put too much on, but we need enough to hold it down because of the scoring lines in here. The cardstock isn't flat, so it's not going to glue as easily as it would if it was just straight cardstock. So we'll just lay that down on. I just love the effect of this one. I don't know what it is about it. It's like when you have this finish, you know, with dashes or dots around the edge, it just finishes it off. And these score lines just make it look so pretty. Now, on my original, I just left this like that, but it does look a little bit plain, and I'm tempted to put some dots on there, but I don't want it to look silly. So I think I'll leave it, and then if we can try and spruce it up another way, then we will. So yeah, it's kind of very elegant, isn't it, Belle? Right, this layer, shall I stamp dots on it? We're going to add a bit of foliage in, but just don't know if it looks a bit flat. I'm going to raise it up. I've got these to put on, but I don't know whether just to add some dots on this layer as well. No, let's leave it plain. Let's leave it plain. Can you imagine how long it takes me to create a card? I am very indecisive. Very indecisive. And when it comes to shopping, honestly, I'm such a ditherer. I'm like, do I really need it? Even though I really like it, do I want it? It's expensive. Do I need to spend that much? And Jason's like, just buy it. We're very different like that. Okay, so we're just popping that layer down on, so we've got a bit of height. It's curled slightly where I've heated it, but it will be fine. Then we're going to lay on this lovely leafy die cut from the framed florets, and we're just going to pop it over this side, somewhere like that. So just making an appearance. Just going to snip the end off, and a couple of bits, a couple of spots of glue. I'm going to wedge it under. A bit higher maybe. Got glue everywhere now. That'll be fine. Oh no, it won't. I've got to go in. I think there's a, oh no, I thought there was a glue dot, a dimensional in the way. That will do nicely. Let's find a little, scrape up that bit of excess Tombow there. So we're just adding in some foliage. I'm going to take my greeting, snip the end off because it's quite long, and then just add a dimensional to the one side of it, and then a bit of Tombow to the other so that it doesn't kind of wobble around. Am I zoomed in enough? I think so. And then we're going to pop this one down over this side somewhere at the bottom, like that. And try and get it straight. That's okay. And then this one here, I've got kind of half of one here. I'm going to chop it off at that point and add it down at the bottom. Bit of Tombow just on that point there. I'm going to pop it down there. Let that dry a minute. Definitely still got the sniffles. It is that time of year though, isn't it? Weather changing. What have I done with my ribbon? So this is the ribbon that I used last week. It is Sahara Sand. It's from the trio. Let me find it for you in the book so I can tell you exactly what it's called. It comes with another roll of Old Olive. It's from the Happier Than Happy, it's called. Just finding the page. Old Olive and Sahara Sand Twill. £7.50, and you get 2 rolls in there. Really lovely soft ribbons. And we're just going to tie a little bow. How much have we got on here? Still got loads left. I've used lots of this. So we're just going to tie a little bow. Pull it through. Pinch both loops. Hold the tails and then pull tight. I'm going to grab the back of that loop and pull the opposite tail. Give it a twist. And then pull the front, hold the front of that one and pull the opposite tail. And snip off there. That might be too long because it's going down at the bottom. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And then kind of manipulate it, twist it, turn it. It's usually good to hold both loops and then give a really good tug down on the tails just to help them find their way. And we're just going to pop that down at the bottom here. Now this does mean that our card has quite a bit of bulk to it. But then it means it gives you the excuse, I've got Tombow under my nails, gives you the excuse to create a nice box for your card. So to make it as an extra special card. It would go in an envelope, it would just be slightly bulky. So we're just going to stick that down like that, trying not to hide our greeting. And then we're going to snip this ribbon. Now I never know whether to go this way or to go that way. Let's go this way. Is that the right way? Yes, the brain. And then we've got, blow off the bits of dust, our finished card. Good morning, Zana. How are you doing? So, to me it looks a little bit plain. You know, I mean, we've got, I say plain, we've got so many layers going on here. We've got texture, we've got embossing, but I just feel the large snowflake does sit nicely in this oval. But I think I'm going to leave it at that. I did die cut some stars, which I have got to put on my other project. I die cut some stars from the Give It a Whirl dies, and I thought, shall we just like add a little star to the centre just to lift it a bit? But I think I kind of like it in its simplicity. Can you see where I was coming from with, shall I do some dottage on the white oval? But aren't these ovals lovely? Zana, I'm just using sneak peek dies here that are coming next month. So we've used this oval here. Absolutely beautiful. I am just totally sucked into them already. So here's my original, pretty much the same, slightly larger bow, but just following on from last week. Let's bring last week's card in so you can see, sticking with the same colours, but last week I added in their sweet candy canes with it, so adore that large snowflake. Right, let's give my nose a blow while I'm stepping away. Sun is out, can see some blue sky. Did say it was going to be a nice day today. So yeah. Done a bit of heat embossing. Those new dies, Anna, are delicious. They are delicious. Thank you, Carol. You think it's very elegant. Yeah, it's quite crisp, isn't it? Quite crisp. Right, I'm going to motor on. We're 10 past 10. I'm going to I'll do the 3D project. If I've got time, we'll come back and do the card, but I'm not sure we will have. We shall see. Right, let's move that to one side. Bring in some bits and pieces. Now this is similar to last week, very similar, but I've switched it up. I've changed the measurements a bit, I think. Cannot remember. So I've got a piece of crumb cake. And I've played around with this so much, I hope I've got the right measurements. So until we actually stick it together, we won't know. So it measures 5 by 7, which I've been doing something else with this and now I'm doubting myself. I think we're good. I think we're good. It measures 5 by 7 and we're going to do some score lines on it. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to bring my scoreboard in. I've also got a piece of cherry cobbler that measures 3 inches by 11.5. Let's get that scoreboard and then I can give you the rest of the measurements. So the long piece of cherry cobbler, we're going to score it right down the middle, which will be 5 3/4. Okay. Now I've already scored this one so I can give you the measurements. So we are looking at, on the landscape, 1 3/4 and 5 inches. And I think this is different to what I did last week. I've made this one slightly wider. And then we're turning it portrait and scoring at 1/2 inch. So I'm going to do it on this one. So it was 1 3/4 and 5. Yep. And then we're turning it portrait and scoring at 1/2. Put that to one side. And then I'll show you the cuts. In fact, the reason I didn't score it, I meant to do some stamping on it first, but so rewind. Before you score, stamp on here, okay? Because now we've got a little ridge here. Can you see we've got like a mountain? My stamp won't really like that very much. Now, I didn't want this stamp to get left out because I've used all the others with you. So it's this one here, little lined snowflake. So I thought I'd create a nice background on here. Let's pull in our scrap with the crumb cake. Oops, just put my finger right in the ink then. And just going to randomly stamp. In fact, I don't need to worry too much. So what's probably going to happen, I'm going to show you so you can see. By having that score line, it's kind of messed it up a little bit. But we're going to be folding this up, so I'm not too worried. And you're only going to see the outside part of this. So we're not going to be seeing this centre part. So there's no point in filling it in. I'm going to add some dottage, of course. That will be enough. So I've just done a little bit of background stamping. So do your stamping before you score. My brain wasn't engaging. And then what we're going to do is just snip out these end panels. Taking a little wedge out of this tab at the bottom just to help it sit together nicely. Oops, that was a bit crooked. And then we'll give it a little score. So I'm going to hold my ruler there just to help me get this line first. Give that a little crease. So can you see we've got these edgy bits around the back, but I'm not worried about that. We could have stamped all the way round, but I'm not precious about how the back looks. And then all we're going to do is add, so we just got this shape here. Just going to add a bit of Tombow here. And then a bit on that edge as well. And just bring them together. Stick them down. So exactly like we did last week, we're just slightly wider. I'll get last week's project and just double check. And then Tombow on this bottom tab. Make sure we go up to the edges. And then we'll just hold that down for a moment. Make sure it sticks. It's going over an edge and over 2 layers of card. So just hold it for a minute. Tombow is super strong. It just takes a few moments for it to actually stick, okay? So we end up, like last week, with this little pouch. And then what we're going to add on here, we need another snowflake. Slowflake, it's definitely not a snowflake. So let's add some powder and do exactly the same as we did before, inking up that snowflake with the Versamark. We'll put it in the middle because we need to die cut it again. Good press down. Move everything out of the way because we're bringing in the powder. Scooping some on our spoon. And then tapping it off. Okay, I can feel some on my fingers. Let's move that out of the way. Get the heat tool going and heat that one up. So exactly the same process as what we did before. So I showed you last week, I think, in the catalogue where the embossing powders are. Hopefully you can see that turning. Oh, it just gets me every time. It's so pretty. Right, we don't want to overheat that. And then we want to die cut that, but also I need another greeting. So we use that leftover piece. I'm going to do exactly the same greeting. Hello Kim, my lovely, how are you? Good evening to you. Hope you're keeping well. Stamp that one down. And we'll die cut that one out at the same time. We're using the new fitting florets. Well, we're not using, they're called framed florets, I think. Yes. So the new sneak peek die set we're using along with the Joyful Flurry. So let's pop these two down. Get these cut. So exactly the same as we did before. Just find this hard to line in. I think what puts me off is that this dot and this dot, they're not opposite. So I'm kind of trying to line, if they were opposite, it would be much easier because you could then line up directly, but it kind of like throws you. It's like playing tricks with you as to where you're actually lining up. And then this one, we'll just pop on here. Another little bit just to hold that straight. Just run those through quickly. Take off the tapes. Gently. Let's put that lid back on that Versamark. So we've got that lovely greeting. It's not too bad, it's quite central. And then remember, if you're careful about how you lay it down, you can use this piece for something as well. I wasn't really very careful, so it's not very straight, but if I did chop off that edge, I could actually use that aperture for something else. Always finding a use, aren't we? Let's give that a bend that way a bit and it will just pop out. All that noise is very satisfying when it comes out. Beautiful. Let's put those away. This is actually a pretty quick project, I think. Okay. Got hair on there. Right, with this panel here, so this is like our sliding pocket. I'm going to fold it in half, line it up, give it a good crease. Now, I'm going to do something that I recommend you don't do, but I'm wondering whether if we did it, let's do it. Basically, I want to cut both of these pieces together, but we shouldn't really cut two pieces. So I think I'm going to say do as I do, and we'll do both pieces individually, because otherwise it may just blunt your punch, and you don't want that happening. Because it's an easy one, they're going to line up perfectly anyway, doing them individually. Let's get rid of those. Oh, the one thing I am going to do though, I need to create the ribbon slot in here, and to get that lined up, I don't know if, I don't really want to recommend that you punch this and do both together. I really don't think that is good for your punch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one, and then we're going to try and line up the other side. If you choose to punch 2 layers with your punch, then that is up to you, but I don't recommend that you do that. Got lots of glue stuck on here. It's going to blunt it. It's not going to do it any good, and I don't recommend that, so I'm not going to show you that. But what you need to do is line this in, make sure it's kind of in the middle as best you can. I mean, I can't see above it. I'm going to just move it out of shot so I can see, and punch one. Then what I'm going to do is fold it over, take my pencil and draw one there, and then do it kind of by eye that way, hoping that they do line up well. So please do it that way. Don't punch 2 pieces together. It's not, your punch isn't going to love you for it. Definitely not. Okay, so you can see where we're going. Let's mount up. Oh, I've got some extra bits and pieces here. I've got a little strip of cherry cobbler, which would be from my scrap bag. Yeah, there is a line in the front, as Belle is saying. I mentioned this last week. There's a line here. So, but because I wanted both of those slots to line up together, that was why I did it that way. But yeah, you could measure, if you wanted something to be in the middle, you could make a pencil mark at 1.5, which is half of this. So if you had a pencil mark here, and then you could line up this middle line with your pencil mark. So that is a good guide on there. So where were we? My strip is 3 1/8 by 7/8 of an inch, and then I've got the other half of that piece. So this measures 3 inches by 1/2 inch. So that's the other bit left over from the strip from the 6-inch piece of DSP that I cut. Right, we're going to put those to one side. And first, we're going to lay down. I was just looking, and this looked a totally different size to the one that I made earlier. I'm going to lay down this outer oval first. So let's put some Tombow around. Stick that down centrally if possible. Oh, it's hard because it's an oval. Like that. I'm just going to get off that Tombow, otherwise I'm going to be sticking to it. And then this one we're going to pop over the top with some dimensionals on. And we're just going to lay that bang in the middle, like that. Then our little strips of paper, cardstock, I'm going to snip. This is going to go down at the bottom. I'm going to snip just an angled edge on that one. Might be okay with width. They don't need to take anything off the length. This looks wider than my original. It is slightly, but that's okay. We'll leave it at that. I'm going to pop just some dimensionals along the bottom because we're a layer up on dimensionals here. So if we just lay 3 down there, they weren't very well balanced out, were they? And we're going to pop that just at the bottom. Like that, and then add on our piece of DSP, but we're going to just do the same little snip on the end. Let's see if that's okay with length, and just add some Tombow on the back and pop that one down just so it's overhanging this edge slightly. So it's just popping over that edge. Then we're going to take our greeting, snip the end off because it's a little long. Tombow on the bottom. And just add it down here at the bottom of our snowflake. Don't want to go into the snowflake. And get it straight if we can. And I've realised I need to do another little die cut with the foliage. So I don't need all of it. Let's just do half of it. And save our cardstock. Just run that through. Actually looking like a beautiful day out there. The temperatures are definitely cooling down, and the clocks change at the end of the month as well, don't they? So it's going to be getting dark early. Let's pop that one away. Such a useful die, this one. Got washi tape stuck to me now. Push that bit out. Yeah, such a useful die. You know how much I use foliage things for filling white space. And then the bonus is you get all of these ovals in here as well. So I'm going to snip off that little bit. Gently, because I don't want to tear it. Add a bit of Tombow here. And just slide that under there. Just hold that glue down. And then I'm going to add in one of those stars. So this was from the Give It a Whirl set. So if we just pop a little dimensional there. And then add on a little star. Like that, because I didn't want to put any more ribbon on here because we're going to be adding ribbon. Now, what have I put in this one? Bear with me. Oh, that's it. I remember now. It's all coming back to me. I've been making some of these and I've been putting different things inside them. Kim, your clocks have already changed forward at the beginning of the month. You love the extra daylight. Yeah, I don't actually mind. I don't mind the dark mornings. I love it when it's dark. When I go out at 7 to let Alfie around the garden, I love it when the moon is still out and it's dark. Because that's the usual time that Jason leaves for work at 7, and then I wander Alfie around the garden. Yeah, so I do love the dark mornings, and I love the coziness of it. It's just embracing it, isn't it? When they first start coming in, it's just learning to live with the early dark night. So yeah, roll on spring, I will be saying. Roll on spring. So I've got here a Starbucks cappuccino pouch, and that's what I'm going to put inside here. So all I'm going to do is lay that in. Now, why does my other one fit and this one doesn't? Maybe because the end is up. That's fine. Panic moment over. So I want more of this delicious ribbon. I also want, I think, linen thread. And all I'm going to do is take that out for a moment. I'm going to thread that through like that. I'm going to wrap this around. Just pull it through a bit. And then I'll cut it longer, because by the time I've pulled this around, I may have to trim it again with frayed edges. I'm going to pop in my treat. That didn't even go in. And then thread that back through there like that. Okay, so our treat's inside. Have that central, and then I'm going to tie these with, and I'm cutting, this is easier to cut this to do this job than try and work off the roll, because I need to have like all my fingers holding things down in place. So we're going to lay our thread down. Hopefully you're in shot. Pop my little finger down there just to hold these ribbons, and then tie a knot tight like that. Okay, really tight. Then I'm going to hold it again and just do another knot. So we've got a double knot there, just securing. Got way too much linen thread, but it just makes it easier on this occasion. And then if we like pull on those, it will tighten it up a little bit. So let's trim off those. So we've got this little pouch with the cappuccino sachet that will hopefully fit inside here. It is quite snug, but it just feels like it's got some substance in there. Okay, and that used the whole length of an A4 to do that. So another twist on last week. Let's bring in last week's. So obviously they look quite different. It is wider, slightly wider. Get out of the way, bit of ribbon. It's slightly wider. So I've just tweaked my measurements. And obviously this one just pulls out and opens. You know, you could put something more extravagant than a candy cane or a sachet of something, some nice hot chocolate or something. You could find something else that will go in there, nice bracelet or something, or even just a gift card or some money, like glue dotted in there so it's not going to get lost. And of course, this isn't just for Christmas. Think how you could change this design to make it look different. Move that one out of the way. Oh my goodness, tripping over my cables. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that. And as a pair, they do kind of go together as a nice gift. I feel like we're up really high this morning. I'm used to working like right the way up here, and my grid paper is lower down. Carol, you've got to go. That's thank you. Thank you for your lovely comments. Yeah, and we'll catch up with you later. Thanks for stopping by. What time are we? 11:25. Shall I do another quick one? Yeah, let's do another quick one. I've got one more card kit, so let's do a quick one. Right, move those to one side. It's another card. Do it really, really quickly because I have to pack up for coffee and card. So this time we're using that looks wide. It is wide. How could I tell that was too wide? It's like 1/8 out. I'm just going to trim it back to 5 3/4. And so it's 5 3/4 by 8 1/4. It's definitely 8 1/4. I'm just going to fold it in half. It's not even straight. What was I doing while I was cutting that? Obviously not paying attention. Okay, that's better. Then we have got a layer for our base card. I also need to do some more embossing, so let's get on with it. And then I've got again these 2 little strips. You see a pattern with these. So first of all, let's do our embossing first of all. Now this time I want to use the large oval. I'm going to pull back out. Be very careful taking these off. Do you remember? They stick well. Plus, I seem to have got cherry cobbler ink all over it. Let's take a large D block. Mount that one up. Add lots of powder. I'm disgusted with myself for the condition of this Versamark, but if you keep re-inking it, it's still going to work. I maybe wouldn't use it for clear embossing because it probably might taint. It might taint everything. Right, let's stamp this one down right in the middle. Look at all that powder on me. It was quite excessive with that embossing buddy. Let's just bring back in the powder. Get some on our spoon ready. Sprinkle it over. And again, I always like to do it a second time. I think this is my favourite snowflake. That embossing buddy just makes such a massive difference. I can see, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it, a fibre or something. My eyesight won't let me get it. And I've now knocked off, can you see I've just knocked off some powder, so I'm just going to put a little bit more back on that area and hope that it sticks. Okay, there's just a little fibre in there. I just can't get it. Don't think it will matter. It's there, it's right there. But it's stuck to the Versamark. I feel that I need to get it. There, got it. Also touched, knocked off some powder at the same time again. Just as well, we can go over it. Let's get that heat all going. Yeah, this is definitely my favourite snowflake. Let's get that heated. it goes, just changing. Such a lovely process. Just got to make sure that you do heat all of that powder, melt it. You don't want any dry powder left, otherwise you're going to lose half of your image. So by heating it, it does just curl your paper slightly. What do I need? I need another one of those. Let's cut this one first. So for this one, I want a much larger oval. And I actually want the centre of this oval. So I'm going to pop that on. Line it as centrally as I can. Tape it down well because we definitely don't want that moving. And we'll do this one at the same time. Give that a little curve, little bend. Run those through together. He's got the fidgets now. He's gone for a wander or a drink. So it does leave a few pieces in. You can kind of tap those out on your desk. I'll get those out in a minute. But look, how beautiful is that? I'm not going to use that, but I will definitely use it for something else. I wanted this centre oval. And off you come. Another garden green foliage. Pop that one away. Quite a messy one, all these bits and pieces. And then I'll just scrape those off. A good way to get them off is because this is obviously etched into, if you use your top plate, kind of scrape like that straight into your bin. It just means there are no pieces left stuck on your plate for when you go to use it again, because that will kind of ingrain on whatever you're cutting or embossing. Right, so we've got a large oval. Oh, I need my machine again because we want to do this piece. So what we're going to do on here, bring that back in. We're going to use this one. So I'm going to show you how this one works. So this just goes to show as well, even though the fitting florets, framed florets even, but the fitting florets collection, it's not, even though these are the stamps that are on the bundle that are so floral and so spring, we have got this set that's being released at the same time, which is obviously seasonal, but it goes to show that you can use these for your festive projects right now, and that's why they've both been released together. So we're going to tape this down in the middle, as good as the eye will tell. Run that through. Now you're probably thinking, well, when you run this through, you're going to have that oval that's left. Why did you cut another one ahead of time? You don't. You actually don't, because watch. Gently does it. Oh, that's well stuck on there as well. Well and truly. Really slowly. Oh, knew it was going to do that. Not to worry. work from that way. That bit of washi totally stuck on there. Made a little bit of a mark, but let's get rid of that. And that one as well, so we need to be gentle, but look at that. It's made a bit of a mess of that, but I cannot do a lot about that at the moment. There are no hearts here. They're all left on my board. I am not throwing these away. These are going in my little pot. So I'm just going to scrape them into my pot for when I'm doing. Some of them are trying to escape. When I'm doing a shaker card, I will be grateful for all of those. Can't pick them up. There we go. I'm a bit annoyed about that, but I'm just wondering, could like make this 10 times worse. There's a bit of adhesive stuck around the edge of it, which makes it look slightly worse than it is. We may have to put a star or something up there. So yeah, be careful with your washi tape. Right. So yeah, we don't get that central piece. Now I could have just stamped my snowflake, this one, right in the middle of there first, but I wanted it to be raised up. So what I've done is taken this die and cut it out again. So there's two ways of doing this. So basically this layer is going on here. Now we could leave it like that and stick it straight on. Okay, so we get a different, maybe we'll leave it like that and then you can see the difference. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that. So what I've done on my other card is I've taken this die and then I've cut another oval out of here, okay? And what I was trying to say was, you're saying, why didn't I use the oval piece that I'm about to cut out? But it's smaller, okay? The inside oval on here is smaller than what I wanted. So we're going to leave it as it is and then we can see the difference between these two. Right, let's pull in our scrap. Bring back in this lovely snow. And we're going to go straight over that splodge to start with. And just add some of this around the outsides. It's such a pretty stamp. Not going crazy, a bit there. How pretty. I feel the need to just have a little bit more in that corner. How pretty is that stamp? Never underestimate a splat or a snow stamp. So just added like a nice finish around here. I'm going to pop this straight down on our card. So I'm interested to see how different this will look. So what we're getting is the crumb cake showing through from the hearts. Shame about the tear, but I don't think there's a way around it for what I'm doing. Then we're going to pop on our embossed snowflake, and I'm going to put plenty of these on because where I've heated this layer, it's just adjusted the shape. It's a little bit bendy, for want of a better word. So that is quite excessive use of our dimensionals, but you get like 300 in a pack, I believe. How many do you get in the minis? No, you get 720. 300 of the large size. 720 dimensionals, minis in a pack. Just love them. I'm going to pop that one down like that. Now a little strip of cherry cobbler is going to go down here at the bottom. I'll measure it when I've got it on. I need to wipe the end of that tombow. I'm just going to add that down there like that. Checking if it's straight. Quite a few of you on this morning. If you are joining, please do say hello. It's always lovely to know who is here. And then we're going to add in that strip of the Lights Aglow. Let's just clean the end of the tombow. Makes it much easier to use when it's, if you've got all dried glue on the end of it, it's not going to come out very nicely. I'm just going to add that strip at the bottom, again in the middle. Stick it down. We need to do a bit of stamping now. I've got all of these pieces. Actually, they could be from my scrap bin, and I've just trimmed them slightly because I wanted to use the It's a Season of Magic and Wonder. Now, when you've got a photopolymer stamp, it's so easy to be able to see through and see where your greeting is going to be. But when you've got a photopolymer like this, a cling, right, I just need to borrow this block. So let's just move that greeting. Get rid of that happy birthday one and pull in this one. It's really hard to know whether for one that I have mounted my stamp, my sticker straight on, which it doesn't look like it is. But even on the rubber, can you see the greeting isn't in line with the run of the rubber? Oh, you're all saying good morning now. So who, let's just scroll back. Kathy, good morning from NC. That's not New York City, is it? Where are you, Kathy? North Carolina, maybe? Joe, hello from Perth in Australia. So lovely to have you. Good evening. Thank you for your lovely comments. Glad you're enjoying the projects. Good morning, Kate. How are you doing? You're in the conservatory, watching on your phone with a cup of coffee. Sounds bliss. Have you got the sun coming in, Kate? It's beautiful, isn't it? The sky is blue and lovely. You like the embossed snowflake. It is desirable. It's going to be part of next month's 6 cards as well. So, yes, so as I was saying, it's hard to see where you're going. So what we're going to do is bring in a scrap. And I want my greeting to be in garden green. So let's ink it up. And I'm going to try and gauge. I'm going to use the It's a Season of and try and stamp it on a line and see just how straight it is. So it's slightly down to the right. Well, I need to do it slightly down to the right. So I've got several pieces here because getting this straight is going to be tricky. So I'm slightly too much down to the right. We'll have another go. I just find it quite hard to line up with cling. That's much better. That isn't too bad. I think we'll go with that. I know you can't bear to watch me faff. You know how fussy I am. I get it from my mum. You know, she's the same. She's quite particular. That's where it comes from. And I've ingrained it on my son as well. He's quite particular about things. It's just the way I am. So we could make this a little slither skinnier, but I think it's fine. It's going to kind of like bring some substance to the bottom of our card. So what I'm going to do is just pop some dimensionals along the bottom, because we're going to lay it at the bottom, and obviously we're already one layer up of dimension. So by popping some dimensionals at the bottom, they will be below here. Right, let's try and get it straight and in the middle of that panel, like that. And then add in our, we're doing for time, 11. Need to get a wriggle on. I have to pack yet for coffee and card and leave at about 11:45. Just gonna add a bit of glue down there. Feed that down in. Go in a little bit just so it, where's my tool, has something to glue to. Not that much though. Don't want to hide our snowflake. Stay there. It's trying to get away. It's because I've done it up on a layer, but it'll be fine. And then to finish, I thought we'd just have a nice linen thread. Good morning, Kylie. How are you doing? You're enjoying the projects, thank you. You're using the Joyful Flurry at your team retreat this weekend. Oh, they are going to love that. Right, it's not letting me scroll the rest of your comment. You're watching while you prep. Yeah, it's always good to have a bit of company, isn't it? So I'm going to tie a bow, but I want to make it a double one. So I'm going to tie one to see roughly how long I want it. Where are my scissors? Right there. And then cut a second piece the same length. I'm just going to pull them between my nail and my finger just to straighten it out a bit, and then we'll tie a bow together. Is that going to be a long enough tail? I think it will. Just going to wrap that round, pull them through, and then even them out a bit. It looks a bit messy, but it will come together. Got one that's slightly longer than the other. Tractors are going down the lane. Just make them slightly smaller. Trim those edges. Oops, there goes the scissors. A little glue dot, because you know I like to use a glue dot with ribbon and thread, because it's just rolling it up a bit. It's just so much quicker. I'm going to pop that down onto that foliage and then lay on our bow on top, and there we go. So quite simple, I think. A few layers, but my definition of simple is probably way different to yours. So there we go. My original's pretty much the same, but without the paper tear. So yeah, I was pleased with how they turned out. Really pleased. Let's bring them all in. Let's do these inks first. So remember, if you want to get your hands on the Fitting Florets collection early, you need to join my team. Take advantage of that great offer that's running. So 3 lovely Christmas projects, using kind of traditional colours, but imagine them in your own Christmas colourway. I know some of you like to use blues and kind of purples. Anything goes. anything goes. So I'm going to give you a quick flash of something because it's going out in the post. It will be a quick flash because it's something I'm going to be doing next month. I've got a class coming, but using the framed florets. It's just a quick flash of another box version and a card, but how gorgeous is this, and how useful are these going to be with the ovals? Okay, so these are going to fit lovely inside these ovals, so keep your eyes open for those coming. But in the meantime, this is where the love is today, for these lovely line drawn snowflakes that we've been heat embossing. So thank you all for stopping by. I'm going to dash now, grab myself a coffee and a snack, pack my bags ready to head off out to coffee and cards. So thank you, Kathy, for your lovely comment. Thank you, Kim. So measurements are there if you want to recreate. As I've said, I love to see what you do with my projects if you're, you know, redesigning. So yeah, and remember this stamp set, you'll find it in the mini catalogue. It's on page 19. I've got an order going through. If anybody would like anything, you're local, please do get in touch. And I think I might just have to get the dies that go with this. So it's £21 for that set. It's beautiful. Right, I will bid you farewell. Thank you so much to all of you for joining me. Thank you, Belle. And I'll be back with you all very, very soon. So take care and bye for now.